Defend the motion. This House to nationalize all insurance companies.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When I, as an organizer, made the roll call and saw everybody are here, I was happy because the organizers don't have to do dummy. But, well, here I am. So, yes, that was with that. And, well, we see that there is a huge problem because there is a role of the state that the state doesn't provide at the moment. And we see it in all our arguments. So, I will provide you with those arguments. That first of all, I will talk to you about the safety net, and also I will talk about the role of the state to provide. So I will go to my first argument, the safety net. At the moment, we see that all the insurance companies are in private hands, and it's a big problem because the private companies are on the market to get profits, but the insurance companies. Thank you. The point of being insured, the point to insure people is to provide them with the feeling of safety. We see it's no, thank you. It's the same thing that at the moment the government is providing you with social health care. You have to put some money in, and you might not need those benefits that you put your money to, but you will get them when you need them. And there are a lot of people who do need them because people do get sick, etc., etc. We see by being insured, the system works the same way. You might not need the insurance. You might not lose your home, your life, etc., etc. But you might. And we see the role of the state at this point is to provide you with the feeling of safety. Because, first of all, people are much happier when they're feeling safe. Because they know whatever happens, the government is there to provide. So, if they lose their home, if they lose their, if they lose their life, but if someone close to them loses their life, then they know they will get the money, they will get the benefits. Yes, our plan is just to privatize the sector of insurance. If you want to ask about that.
Are you also making having insurance mandatory for everyone?
I will talk about that in the second point. Actually, in that point. And we see that the role of the state is to provide those things because, well, as I told you already, people are happier if they have a safety net because, whatever happens, the government is there to provide them. Second of all, it is that the government it is cheaper for the government because when people have insurance and they pay some money in there, and in this case we also see it's like social health care, it's health care, then the people pay in and they get some benefits if they need them. So, and also the government can make some things mandatory, which the government can do when they own the sector, because there are some at times there are bubbles. For example, in Estonia or in Finland in the 90s, we saw that there was a bubble in buying houses, buying things, and it burst. When the government owns the sector of insurance, then we see that the government can prevent the consequences of those bubbles because they can make you buy your home insurance. And if the bubble bursts and the prices of the houses go down, and the government beforehand has seen it further, and we see that the government does see things further, then they can make you buy insurance for it. And if the bubble bursts, everybody are insured and people won't lose their homes. And we see that's the safety net the government has to provide.
Sir,
Yes, please.
Please, could you please show us where the industry of insurance has failed so far, so you have to implement this plan?
Yes, I was there at the moment, so from there comes our second argument, because at the moment the insurance companies want to get benefits. The bad thing about getting benefits is you do whatever you want to do. You insure stuff that's really crazy. You can insure anything at the moment in the, on the market, and that makes all the other insurances quite expensive. It makes the insurance a privilege to people. But we see that every people should have insurance in their life. They should have insurance on their homes, etc., etc. But at the moment, because the insurance companies want to have benefits, first of all, they take the maximum prices they can on the market, which is wrong. And second of all, and there are a lot of people who can't insure themselves for things they really need. Second of all, because the companies do insure things that shouldn't be insured, while considering common sense, these things also make the other insurances more expensive, so people can't allow themselves insurances. And people should have them, because when they have a problem, then the government needs to help anyways. They need to provide them with hospitals, they need to provide them with police. But we see that if people pay in, and if people can afford insurances, they will pay for those things themselves. So it's better for the government also. So we see that yes, it shouldn't be a privilege to have an insurance, and it will make it better for the government also. So please vote for the proposition.
Right, thank the speaker for his speech, and invite first speaker for opposition, now the leader for opposition.
Okay, dear ladies and gentlemen, I will first do the rebuttal, and then I will talk to you about my 3 points. First, I will talk about benefits of competition. Secondly, about the political dependency, and third, I will talk about 2 points, because my first one goes under the rebuttal. Well, and we have one question from the opposition. What is the problem right now? Because we haven't seen any kind of serious problems that would be in the society. We say, yes, of course, we can always say that there's a problem with the fact that the state does not do enough. But we say that this must have some kind of impact in the society. And we say that right now we don't have this kind of thing. We say that insurance companies do quite well, people do quite well, therefore there is no problem. So we don't see why we should nationalize the insurance companies. Because we believe that when the state does these kind of things, it does only with the strategically important companies. We believe that, for example, energy and water, where we see that when something would happen, there would be a really serious problem. We believe that with insurances, firstly, we don't see that the problem would rise, at least in the small perspective, not. And we also believe that even if it would be, then there wouldn't be some kind of catastrophe. What we also heard was the fact that, well, we have to provide some kind of safety. Well, firstly, we say that nationalization does not provide security, because, well, first, it doesn't mean that it's mandatory. If the proposition side wants to make it mandatory, then we believe that, what are we talking about? Because we believe that people usually should have a choice whether they want to take some kind of insurance or not. And thank you. Because if I don't buy a car, then why should I do it? If I don't think that I have much to lose, why should I do it? Therefore, we believe that this is, not really reasonable. And we also heard how insurance becomes privileged, because right now the prices are so high because you have to pay for all the insurance. Well, what we actually see is the fact that once we have competition, then actually the market makes these prices go down. Therefore, I'm moving to my own first point, which is the benefits of the competition. Well, the first one is the fact that once you have a lot of companies which want to provide this kind of service, then what happens is the fact that they have to compete, which means that these companies have to do a lot that people would buy their service, which means that they would do the best they can that people would buy. And well, as there is competition, then they can't really get the prices very high, because otherwise people wouldn't buy these kinds of things. Which means that once we have this competition, then the prices would go down, because they have to compete with each other for these clients. Unlike with the state, where state just makes these insurance companies, everything belongs to them. There is no competition, which means the prices would never go down. We also believe that there is no need for get better results. Sit down. We believe that there is no need for innovative ideas. We believe that, for example, what we are now already insuring is the puppies, for example. We believe that state does not consider business risk, therefore it won't listen what the people actually want. Which means that these companies will not benefit people because they will not create new ideas, they will not bring prices down, and they will not get the best quality because they just don't have to compete with any. Therefore, we believe that this will get worse to the people and also to the state, because we believe that as the state is dependent on people. And we believe that this is my point of political dependency. We believe that what state actually has to do is it has to listen people. We believe that it really depends on the voters because they want to get elected. And that means that once the state owns these companies, then what happens is the fact that it has to listen what people are saying. And in case of crisis, state has to do what people want. And therefore these companies are no longer beneficial. Yes?
State has to provide the services for the population in the other fields. Therefore, we don't see that this would be problematic. We see it's happening in education, medicine, and so on and so on.
Yes, well, firstly what we say is that education and healthcare is the one thing that the state actually benefits from, because once you have educated people, state can do better. We believe that insurance is not this kind of case. We also believe that once the state has to pay for these kind of things, and it doesn't actually benefit, and the private sphere can deal with these kind of things, and especially when it can deal with these kind of things more efficiently, then there's no need for the state to take this kind of role, especially as we see that once we have this crisis, like we have these dust clouds or something like this, where all the planes couldn't fly anymore. And we believe that what people wanted was that, yes, state, pay me, because, well, I couldn't do anything about it. And then comes the question, whether the state does what people want, because it has to follow what people want. And we believe that state would make this popular choice, but this would not be efficient, because state would pay a lot, state would have to pay a lot of money, and it would not gain anything, because we believe that insurance companies actually work on the basis that they get money for the people's investments and from the fact that people buy the service. And with this same money, they can invest it and then give it back to people in case there is a situation where they have to pay for someone's loss of house or car or whatever, these things. And we believe that once we start doing these popular choices, the state has to pay more. And as it does not invest with this money, a state is not the risk player, but more like a stable player, then we believe that it will be influenced by the people. It will do the popular choices, and people will be the ones who will lose, because state will have to get more and more money to pay back for these kind of things, to pay back for their popular choices. Therefore, we believe that what this nationalization plan will do is, firstly, it will be very costly for the state. Therefore, state will not be efficient. State could not do the other choices that it really has to do, because we can't risk with our education in privatization. We believe that people would lose from this plan, because they have to pay more and they don't get this competition, which gives them best service. And so, yes, basically both of these parties in this case will lose from the nationalization. Thank you.
Right, the next speaker for her speech, and invite the second speaker of the opening government.
Ladies and gentlemen, on the government side, we strongly believe that insurance shouldn't be something which is privileged. insurance shouldn't be something which is available only for few. What we see, for example, a couple of years is that we have had house market bubble burst, and what has happened, for example, people are homeless. What we've seen is actually that insurance has an important function in the society. We've seen that insurance has an important function to fulfill the society in order to guarantee this safety net, as Martin already pointed out. And what we've seen is actually that this is an important function, and therefore we see that actually state should be the actor who provides these kinds of services in order to provide the best services. What I'm going to do is I'm going to first rebuttal Arni's speech, and then I'm going to bring out in my own content where I'm going to talk about two main things. First about, private industry, and secondly I'm going to talk about economic stability. First about the rebuttal. Basically what the opposition told is that state is a bad actor. State cannot provide services because state first doesn't have competition, and secondly, state is influenced. What we see is actually, this is false. What we see that state actually is capable of providing different services. What we see that state actually does that every single day. State provides a lot of services, and we don't actually, well, sometimes we complain, but actually we don't see that there would be a dramatic problem with the fact that state actually provides the things. What we've seen is actually state is capable of somewhat ignoring this mass publicity and this influence by the mob. What we see actually that state is capable of seeing far ahead and not just following whatever the crowd wants. And what we see actually that even though there wouldn't be competition alongside these companies, this is actually a good thing. What we see is, which I'm going to elaborate on my private industry, is that private industry is oriented on money. What we see is these private companies, they are after money. They actually, the most important thing about the industry is, providing the safety net. This is secondary for them. These companies are interested in gaining profit for themselves, profit for the shareholders. Therefore, it's actually so-called competition, doesn't erase these high prices. Rather, it still keeps these prices relatively high. And now I'm moving on to my own constructive material. First about the private industry. What we strongly believe on the government side is that actually private industry in some cases isn't the best thing, especially when this industry is supposed to fulfill the needs of the people, especially when there's social consequences. What we see is that insurance is something which is relevant to a lot of people. What we see that insurance is important. For example, as I already pointed out, for example, when we have problems or accidents, so on and so on, we have enough cases where companies are not really willing to pay the sum. What we've seen is that actually these companies do everything to maximize their own profits, and therefore they are not fulfilling their social obligation, which should be providing safety net. Don't you
So you mean the state will pay for everything? State will not. State will ignore the contract. State will not think that, oh, maybe you brought this shit on yourself. So it's
no. Thank you. Still, insurance still works as it is, but what we see that actually state would see this in a bit different perspective. State wouldn't be just paying the sums without considering the facts and so on. The procedure still remains the same, but what we gain is actually first another perspective from the social aspect. Therefore, this equality comes, and what we see that the state actually can put money into these insurance companies when there's actually need. Like, state doesn't have this burden to provide profit for its shareholders. And what we see that, no, thank you, this shifting away this focus from this actually profit maximization to offering the social benefits, this is an important part. And this is why actually private industry cannot fulfill the role of insurance. Because the role of insurance still is actually provide safety net already, as Martin pointed out, and as I already elaborated. Now moving on to the economic stability. What we actually see is that insurance is, you could say, the cause of a lot of evil. What we see that through a couple of years and this economic bubble burst is that these insurance companies, they just insure everything. Why? Because they need to gain their profit. What we see that actually state is a better actor. What we see that the state is capable of doing smart decisions. And when there's in some cases state can say that, well, no, we are not going to insure that. For example, you can insure stocks. You can insure different kind of financial activities, and what we see that actually these insurance companies have failed during this economic bubble burst. And what we've seen is that what we believe is that when the state is the owner of these insurance companies, we can actually avoid these things. Therefore, we can avoid this really stupid decisions being made. Because actually, why these risky activities are done? Because they have right now they have this safety net from the private insurance companies. And why is it? Because insurance companies need to gain profit. Therefore, we believe that by nationalizing these insurance companies, first we have actually service which is good for people, and secondly we can control it and have a more stable economy. Therefore, thank you to propose.
Right, thanks speaker for his speech. We now invite second speaker of opening opposition, Deputy Leader.
Ladies and gentlemen, for 14 minutes I expected for the government to show us why the hell should we implement this plan. Please show us the real necessity in this situation, in the real world. Give us an example how the insurance companies have failed. They haven't done that. Therefore, we don't see a need to do this, to implement this plan. But okay, fine. What they are trying to say is that the state has obligations. Fine, we agree with that. Of course, state has obligations. But what they haven't showed us, ladies and gentlemen, is that how the field of insurance is the same as, I don't know, for example, healthcare, or how it's the same as education. We don't see insurance as a necessity. It's something people can choose if they feel that they have some risks they want to level. And the government side has not done that. The opening comment says that we need to provide a better safety net because the private companies do not do that. Again, they haven't showed us that the private companies have failed. We say that if the state takes on this issue, it will not be a better safety net. It will, and the government hasn't showed us how it will be a better safety net. They have only labeled that, oh, the state can make better decisions. But how, ladies and gentlemen? They haven't explained that. Okay, now, moving on. Again, the government says that the state is a capable actor. Fine, even if the state is a capable actor, even if we agree with that, we feel that the private companies also are pretty capable. They're already working in this field. They have competition. That's what's making them better every single day. They are trying to get a better share of the market. They are trying to make better products for their customers. They are trying to get those customers, trying to attract them to insure themselves. That's what's making the market better. If the state privatizes this, nationalizes this field, then the state has no incentive to develop a better to develop a better product. Now, the opposing side says that, oh, the private industries, they are bad because they want profit. Ladies and gentlemen, what the hell? Of course they want profit. And the profit is profit's the one thing that makes them work better and work more and offer better services. If they want to say us the state's goal is not to make profit in insurance, where are the state going to take all the money if they're just going to give money out if something happens? Of course, insurance companies have to have contracts and people have their own responsibilities, but what we see and what I already explained to you, ladies and gentlemen, is that the state is politically dependent. The state has political dependency and needs to make popular decisions because the state is run by politicians. Politicians basically are run by people. That means that the state is not that kind of a capable actor. And we see that competition will strive for a better economic situation. Yes?
But actually, state is capable of. We have plenty of example when the state is providing services without this competition, and it is capable. As I brought up, education, medicine, and
I already talked about that. But we don't see the insurance business, and you haven't done that in 14 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, to prove us that insurance is comparable to this medicine and education. And also we can see that competition in medicine and competition in education also provides better services. So this kind of a privatization is better for everyone. Now, already about what Anja already said about behavioral risks. If people know that there is a state, there is this kind of a comfortable provider, they will not consider the risks as well as they would with the private companies. That means that the field of insurance would lose as people would be more prone to take risky choices. And now, moving on to my own argument, which I'm sorry I didn't mention before. Okay, I want to analyze a bit the economic stability on a bit larger scale. Firstly, mainly the most insurance companies, they are international enterprises, and as we see, no state would or could ever implement this plan, because those international companies, those international enterprises have ties all over the world, in the economic world, and also within the governments. So this kind of a protectionistic style would not benefit the state, because the other governments and the other parts of the economy of the world would get a bit pissed off, because stepping into this kind of a free market sphere is not fair in the economic field. And we also see that for the companies to invest somewhere, to invest in a state, to start a company, they need stability. They need that the state will not come and take away our field. They will not come and start playing arcade. But with this plan, the government will not provide that stability, and it will not provide that stability for the international enterprises, which bring in the most money. So, for these reasons, ladies and gentlemen, for the reason that the government has not shown us what's the real issue here, why we need to do that, for 14 minutes they haven't done that, for the reason that competition will make the market better, will make it better for the people, and for the reason that the state will be always dependent on political decisions. Please, I beg you to oppose.